When you were in high school, did you ever stay up at night wishing on a star that an owl would magically come to deliver a letter and whisk you away to a new world filled with wonder, magic, danger, and adventure? Yeah? Nerd! Well, I didn't. Because when I was in high school, I was too busy wondering what it'd be like to kiss a girl. Maybe someday.
There are two kinds of college students, jocks and nerds. As a jock, it is my duty to give nerds a hard time.
I haven't read any of the Harry Potter books, and I tapped out after watching the first movie in the series. It just wasn't for me. I caught it too late to get on the hype train. And that leaves me in a bit of an interesting position because I have no nostalgia for the series. In the last few years, I've been introduced to the general rules of the world, though. I went to go see The Cursed Child play, and I've seen whatever the hell this is.
Harry Potter. I'm Harry Potter.
I found the source of the ticking. It's a pipe bomb.
Yeah!
So I know the basics, like death in the series is super rare, and when it does show up, it's always meaningful or symbolic, which makes sense. The original book series was made for children, so it's nice to see the series adapted faithfully, with no killing at all.
Wait, what was that? You just said you don't kill.
He's asleep.
Do you not know what death is?
It's time to get to platform 9 3/4, because today, you're magic.
Really? I didn't think it was possible. However did you do it?
Common sense and basic magic.
My name's Joel, and I'm inviting you to follow me into the wizarding world, where we'll see how a loving hand can bring a licensed world to life, and how following trends can suck some of the uniqueness out.
Thank you.
Now.
I'm glad I know people that are into Harry Potter and could explain things to me as I played Hogwarts Legacy. Within seconds of starting the game, there's cool nods to the series. There are invisible horses that you can only see if you've witnessed someone die. In the opening cutscene, your carriage gets attacked.
As you can see, it appears that we are going down. Now would be a good time to reflect on your life and pray to whatever deity you believe in. Thank you for flying Shitty Airlines. We know you have a choice in airlines, and it looks like you made the wrong one.
Instead of showing a bloody, gruesome death for one of the passengers, which would have cost the game its teen rating, Avalanche used the horses to clue players in. Now, I had assumed the guy died, but he's a wizard, so I wouldn't have put it past the game to say he teleported out. But when the horses become visible, Harry Potter fans were told without a doubt that
this parrot is no more. It has ceased to be.
Things only get better from there. Every Harry Potter fan has dreamed of being admitted to Hogwarts. So when the game gives you the sorting hat and basically asks you to choose which house you belong to, it got my friends really excited. And it was endearing to see.
Perhaps you belong in Hufflepuff.
No. I had taken the official online quizzes with my friends, so I knew which house was mine, and I even took a Patronus quiz, and I'm still not 100% sure who those pet things are.
Who am I? Who am I? I am the guardian of lost souls. I am the powerful, the pleasurable, the indestructible Mushu.
Pretty sure that's accurate. Anyway, apparently I'm a Gryffindor.
Better be Gryffindor!
And my Patronus is a tie between a basset hound for loyalty and determination, or a wild boar because of independence and passionate work ethic. Sounds like horoscope bullshit to me, but it makes fans happy. Every single one of them is positive attributes. There's no mix where it's like, you're generous and trusting, but also,
I am a coward!
Show me some real personal and specific entries, then we'll talk about your personality tests, Hogwarts.
Libra. A strange man will drop into your life.
Pisces. Be careful at work today.
My point with all that is I'd have been completely lost if it weren't for the people pointing out all the details in the game. There's so much in Hogwarts Legacy that even if I didn't have the guidance, I'd be blown away by the display of love that Avalanche has crafted for the source material. In typical open world games, developers use a lot of tricks to keep costs down. Sometimes it's as easy as reusing full assets, because it doesn't make sense not to. If an artist makes 5 different wooden chairs, no player is asking for a 6th chair like,
how many legs on this chair? 4. Like a chair.
Other times, it's about reusing specific parts. These are called modular assets, where instead of building a house, we build walls, doors, windows, and arrange them in different patterns. Maybe change their sizes and use different textures on them so that we can end up with thousands of unique houses without needing to make new assets. Here's a screenshot from Ruby Soleil Rain that shows how Warframe makes one of their weapons larger and slaps it on a ship. When developers get really good at this, you'll barely even see the similarities. Here's another image from an ex-Bungie employee talking about how the Axis in the game Destiny is just a modified spider tank. Hey, look at me. I'm a real journalist now. I'm just pointing to tweets and calling it work.
I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
So I bring this up for a few reasons. 1. Working on a licensed game usually sucks. You have to get approval from the license holder to do pretty much anything, which will slow you down. 2. Trying to make a world that feels familiar and nostalgic for an entire generation that dreamed of going to Hogwarts is a Herculean task, especially when a lot of the school has never been seen before. You have to capture the imagination and balance the wants of the readers, the movie fans, and people like me who have never been a part of the world. 3. If you try and make a location as big as Hogwarts with purely unique assets, your game's download size is going to be massive. Game developers don't just reuse assets to be lazy. Sometimes it's actually harder to creatively MacGyver some shit together than it would be to just make something from scratch. So seeing Hogwarts brought to life as it has been is a feat everyone at Avalanche should be proud of. I loved watching people play and get lost in the details. Sure, I could spot some reused assets here and there, and when you leave the school, the world map is a little bit more generic. But Hogwarts and the known locations are done so perfectly that I think any fan of the Harry Potter universe is going to just love wandering the halls. And you get to do it in multiple seasons, so all my pumpkin spice lovers can experience Hogwarts in the fall. And I know you're gonna love that, cause let's face it,
you're a basic bitch.
I've read interviews from the developers talking about how much work they put into creating the world, and it really shows. Given how frequently we get bad movie adaptations that result in shit like Street Fighter the movie the game, it's nice to see developers that truly love the project they're working on. Hogwarts Legacy is letting all the witches and wizards of the world live out their childhood fantasies, while also expanding the lore of the Harry Potter universe. You get to meet some students from other schools and learn about how in other parts of the world they learn to cast without wands, which, to my knowledge, isn't really explored in the main series.
But is magic the same there as it is here?
Mostly, yes. But I did have to learn how to use a wand when I arrived here. Hardly anyone at Wagadu uses one.
You can cast spells without a wand?
Oh, yes. I find wandless magic to be much more instinctive. Not to mention quite convenient if one is without their wand.
I'm thankful that I went into Hogwarts Legacy without nostalgia goggles on. It's really allowed me to appreciate how stupid part of the Harry Potter world is. I know the series was made for children, but when I first heard the spell names, I just burst out laughing.
Reparo!
Potato!
Defendo! Sit down, Anoyo! Levioso! Deposo! Shaco! Lumos! Accio! Speak no more of Levo Spico!
And the dumb stuff doesn't stop there. In what I can only imagine is a nod to Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, because I haven't seen the movie, there's a creature collection mechanic where you save some creatures, and I kept waiting for the Mooncalf to look at me and ask,
"You wanna get high?" "No, we don't wanna get high."
There's no shot I would have laughed as hard at Hogwarts if I had seen any of this coming. And there's new things for players like me to discover around every corner, like
the Puffle of Puffskein,
the Chinese chomping cabbage,
the smelly gobstone spit,
Jobbernor's gobbledygook.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
And that's the fun thematic stuff that actually make me want to dig deeper into the lore of the world. However, some of the other choices Avalanche made I don't think are thematic. Rather, they're trends within the gaming world that Avalanche felt compelled to carry into theirs. And when games try too hard to emulate trends without understanding why they've been used, we end up with bad Dark Souls clones. so it feels worth pointing out so that we can understand what a system is trying to do and when to use it. Let's start with the color rarity system. This is a mechanic you'll see in mobile gacha games and in dungeon crawlers, things like Borderlands or Diablo. And in those games, the core reason for loot rarity is to push players into a grind. You repeat dungeons and fight, slowly building up your character's power. In those games, the grind, the slow progression, and inventory management is part of the appeal. For Hogwarts, we don't need a pointless grind to keep players interested, and we certainly don't need to waste time constantly shuffling through inventory screens. Players are going to stick around for another reason.
You know, fans are going to tune in for the movies, but they're not going to stay tuned in unless we give them what, ladies?
Blood.
Tits!
Storytelling. Storytelling.
Oh.
This is a story-driven game. We're here to live out our childhood fantasies of attending Hogwarts. Thankfully, the transmog system allows you to change the appearance of gear while keeping the stats intact. And while I appreciate that, you can't set a default appearance. Every time I swapped my gear, the game decided it wanted to dress me.
First, that fez and vest combo is much too 3rd century. These patches, what are we trying to say? Beggar? No, let's work with me here.
Ooh, I like it muy macho.
Then I have to redo my appearance every time. Okay, one last nitpick before I move on to how I'd fix some of this stuff. As wonderfully realized as Hogwarts may be, the map you use to navigate is absolutely useless. There's no real sense of verticality, so when you use the flue flames to travel, you don't really know if you're going to the 3rd or the 2nd floor. So even though there's a fast travel system, I'm rarely going to be at the closest point to my objective. By the end of the game, I still didn't know my way around Hogwarts, which is a bad sign. Though I guess that could be because I don't know the source material. Alright, I know the internet has something they've fixated on for this game, and I feel like I have to address it as the first thing I mention in this section because of how vocal some people have been about this aspect of Hogwarts Legacy. And yes, I agree with the internet in this situation. Professor Garlic can get it.
Swing! Swing! Tentpole! She's a bae!
Like, god damn, it's so cruel that Avalanche put this woman in the game and didn't give us an option to romance the NPCs. But I'm sorry, internet. Avalanche made the right call. Even though we've all grown up, the children in Hogwarts Legacy haven't. So keeping this series about childlike wonder was absolutely the right call. Pretty sure that was the major thing about this game, right? If there's something else, I can't think of it. So let's focus on the hard work of all the developers at Avalanche who tried to bring joy to people's lives by letting them live out their childhood dreams, and what I would have done if they had let me tamper with their work.
Reparo!
Easy first thing. Ditch the equipment rarity system. I don't want to have to keep adjusting my appearance every time I get gear. It should be exclusively cosmetic, because people are here to live out their fantasies and express themselves. Now without the gear, you might be asking, what's the game going to drop in all of the chests? Won't that mess with the game's economy? How else are the developers going to motivate players to complete quests?
Stupid bitch doesn't even know.
Yeah, one quick look through the menu shows that Hogwarts Legacy isn't lacking for possible rewards. You can obviously still drop clothing items to give players unique looks. Then there's crafting materials, potions, consumables, combat items, skill upgrade points, and more. Now, let's focus on that last thing I mentioned, skill upgrade points. Hogwarts Legacy is a game where you're literally attending a school, but all the class stuff is done very quickly as a side quest. I would love to see the game grant you study notes as a potential drop in the game. It would be a currency that you use to improve your character's stats, which, again, would be removed from the gear rarity system. More importantly though, I would use it to expand the spell casting system. Right now, part of my problem with the combat system is that too many spells are functionally the same. Accio pulls enemies to you and then suspends them in the air for a few seconds. Levioso just suspends enemies in the air for a few seconds. The difference between the two is so minor, they're both 0 damage spells that essentially disable an opponent for a few seconds. The game has spell upgrades, but they're too similar as well. Each spell only has one upgrade, and both Levioso and Accio become AoE, stunning multiple enemies at once. With study notes as a separate currency, I'd try and overhaul this system to make the spells more unique, allowing players to pay for multiple upgrades. These could be generic, like giving Levioso the ability to upgrade how large its AoE is, or how long it keeps people airborne, or improving its cooldown. But I'd look to add more unique upgrades, like increasing the height Levioso can raise enemies, and then allowing for fall damage. I'd let Incendio start a fire on the ground, so it can combo with Accio better. I'd even dig into some of the unique lore Hogwarts Legacy has brought to the series, and explore upgrades that could be thematically tied to wandless or silent casting. Oh, and speaking of spell upgrades, for the love of God, let me upgrade the lockpicking spell so I can skip the minigame. Lockpicking minigames are only ever fun the first few times you do them, and when there's no fail condition and 4 locks right next to each other, it's just tedious. I feel like Avalanche just included this in the game because other games do it. Were they thinking people actually like these games after 100 times? What were they thinking?
The problem was that we weren't thinking.
We weren't thinking. And you know, with the times that
the times
we're
are
living in,
like,
yeah.
and
peer pressure. And the peer pressure of thanking one.
Let this be a lesson, kids. Don't fall for peer pressure. But hey, these are all just minor quibbles. The mechanics all work perfectly fine. My problem is that they're generic and not ideal for what Hogwarts Legacy wants to be. It's still every Harry Potter fan's dream game. For the rest of us, it's just a fun game. Perfectly serviceable and worth playing.
Lovely speaking with you. Have a wonderful day. Oh, and remember, be kind to your Wigan trees.